Hi, this is Kelly Phillips for paperbeadrollers.com. A few weeks ago, I received a request from a subscriber named Kim. Hello, Kim, if you're watching. Kim had seen a pendant in the header of my YouTube channel that looked like this. It's a flower pendant made out of paper beads, and she asked how to make it. So this is that video requested by Kim. This is one of the first things I made when I started paper beading. It was so much fun. I made a bunch of different versions. Here's a red version I made. And then I made it into a keychain. And here's a bracelet version that has its own paper bead clasp that I made out of his cereal box, and then I painted it. I even made a super fancy triple flower necklace with beading up the chain. This is definitely one of my favorite things to make. So thank you, Kim, for the request. To make this today, you will need the following materials. You'll need 26 gauge copper wire. Now it can be any color you want. It just depends what color goes best with your project. Mine is silver. You'll need some scissors to cut it, and possibly some pliers. But that's really it for the tools. We're pretty light on tools for this project. Now, let's talk about the beads. Now this is interesting because all of the non-paper beads that you see here, so that would be this and these two, are from the December Dollar Bead Box. Now the Dollar Bead Box is a subscription that I get, and they send me a surprise every month. If you're interested in subscribing, you can click the link in the description to get more information. It is an affiliate link, so I will get a small bit of compensation that helps me continue to make these tutorials. Now, in December, they sent a ton of bead strands, and they didn't even tell us the name of everything they sent. So I can't tell you the exact names of each of these, but I will do my best to describe them for you. So here we have a lavender bicone, and these are crystals shot through with an amber and a dark purple. And this is a fire polished purple with what looks like an iridescent coating. Now the paper beads for this project are your traditional bicone paper beads. They're about 3/4 inch long, and they're made with a triangular strip that was 12 inches long and from 65-pound cardstock. So they're just kind of your basic paper bead. Now it's kind of funny because I have already filmed this video once. When I started designing this project, I really wanted to use all three of these beads from the Dollar Bead Box. So I really love these right here, and I intended on using them as the inner circle around the center of the flower. Well, it turned out that they were just too long, and you can see that this is what I ended up with the first time around, and I wanted to use these crystals here in the center. So they were just too long, and it created too much of a gap, and I just couldn't come up with a good way to fill it. So I ended up using seed beads instead. Well, it came out nice, but it's a little dark for my taste, number one. And number two, I just really wanted to use these crystal beads. So I'm showing you this one because I do think it's pretty, but I'm gonna refilm the tutorial and I'm gonna use these guys. And I'm also gonna use some lighter seed beads for the center, and then we're gonna see how it looks. And at the end, we'll compare the two versions, the light version and the dark version, and you guys get to choose which one you like the best. So I'm going to go ahead and make this again with the alternate beads, and at the end we'll vote and see which one we like best. So here we go. So we're going to start by cutting a length of just over 2 feet of the 26 gauge wire. You'll use 2 feet for the project, so the extra is your just in case bit. When you're working with this wire, you want to move slow and take your time. It will kink very easily, and where it kinks, it creates a weak spot where your finished piece could break. So we don't want that. I've got everything arranged here at the side. You'll need 9 of each bead except for the center bead, of course. 9 of the beads at the ends of the petals, 9 seed beads for the center ring. I would not go smaller than a 6/0 bead because you'll be passing through each bead several times and you'll need a hole that is large enough. And you'll need 9 paper beads. I'm using 3 colors, but you can mix and match colors however you'd like. You can even use 9 different colors if you want and have a rainbow flower. So first we'll pick up all 9 of the seed beads with your wire. You know how seed beads aren't always uniform? Some are really narrow and some are more tube-like. Well, for this, they don't have to be exact, but you do want to choose beads that are fairly consistent in width. You can see mine aren't perfect, but they are close. Now we'll use our tail and we'll pass it through that last seed bead. Pull it tight to make a circle. Bend it up a little so the circle stays. Now put the center bead on the tail and bend it down into the center of the circle. Let the circle expand a little. It's okay if there's a little space between the beads. Now find the 4th or the 5th bead across and pass the tail through it. And you have 9 beads, so there isn't really an exact center. You can just eyeball it. This is where you may want to have your pliers handy. Sometimes it's hard to get your fingers in there. We'll just leave that tail there for the moment and let it hang out while we put our petals on. Remember while we're working to be careful with your wire and don't let it get kinked up. I'm going to start with my dark purple paper bead and grab my crystal bead. Push them all the way down to the core of the flower. You need to keep it pressed tight. Pass the end of your wire back through the paper bead and pull it through. Keep that paper bead tight against the seed beads or your wire will bend in the wrong place and your petal won't be positioned properly. Once you hit the end, stop and turn the bead so it's seated properly. Then you can tug a little harder on the wire. Now look at the base of the petal. One wire is coming out of a seed bead and one wire is coming out of the paper bead. We're going to pass our wire through the next seed bead over. Now this is where the kinks can happen. If you see it twist like that, make sure you untwist it before you pull it tight or it will kink. Now you can decide what color to use next. I'm going to go with my middle shade. So I'll grab one of those and a crystal bead and slide them down my wire. Again, you're going to push them right up against the centerpiece. Then slide your wire back down the paper bead. Pass the wire through that next seed bead over, watching for kinks as you pull it through to tighten it up. Now we'll do the light petal. It's the exact same process for each petal. Thread on the beads, come back down through and pull tight. Pass through the next seed bead. And here's a twist that's going to become a kink if I'm not careful. So I need to twist that back and straighten out the wire. That's going to be a weak spot now. I also just wrapped it around the petal, so make sure you don't accidentally loop your petals through. And now it's straightened out. And we're back to our dark bead. Thread your beads on. Hold them in place. Pull the wire tight. Help that little bead turn if you need to. And pass your wire through the next seed bead. And I almost got a twist there, so I'll fix that before I pull it through. As I do these next couple, I really will try and keep my fingers out of your view. It's difficult because I have to hold the bead against the centerpiece, but I will do my best. So I'm on the middle shade of paper bead. I'll try and press this against the desk and maybe you can see better. There's a little snag here. Let's see if I can straighten it with my pliers. There we go. That paper bead has got to be right up against that centerpiece or the petal will be too far away and it will look stringy. If you're having trouble getting your wire through your seed beads, you can try bending the end just a little to get the right angle. Oh, I just kinked my wire again. You gotta move slow. Now we'll do the lightest bead. See, the end here is a little kinked up, so I'm going to trim it and make it easier to use. And again, I'll try to do this without covering everything with my fingers. I don't know if this looks as awkward as it feels, but I'm just trying to keep your view clear here. Okay, pull it tight and there we go. And as usual, go into that next seed bead. And twist the wire so it doesn't kink up. One more set to go, back to the darkest color. Top bead, through the paper bead. Make sure the top bead's positioned right. Pull it tight. And through the seed bead. It's shaping up. We're almost there. Now for the medium purple. Okay, we're on the last petal. This is so exciting. Then we get to decide which one we like best. I need to cut my end again because this is too messed up. Back through the paper bead. Out through the bottom. And then through the last seed bead. And there we go. Look at that. You may not have noticed, but the tail broke off at some point, and it's the tail that holds that centerpiece in. So we would have finished this off by taking that tail and threading it back through the seed beads and hiding it in a paper bead. So that's what I want you to do with your project. Now with this one, the tail is wrapped up and hidden. So we're just going to deal with my other wire here, and I'm going to use it to reinforce my center bead. It's coming out of this seed bead here, which is in the perfect spot to go back through the center bead. If it weren't, I would just snake it back through the circle until it got to a spot where it would come through the center bead. As it stands, we can just pass it through the center bead right here to make it more secure. I'm going to trim this end and run it through some of the seed beads for a little extra security. Go ahead and trim off that end whenever you need to. That's why I told you to give yourself a little extra wire in the beginning. I have a kink in here. Let me try to get it out. And it's okay, we're gonna cut up that part off anyway. Our tail won't be that long in the end. We just need to smooth it out so we can thread the wire through. If you wanted, you can go pass back and forth through your petals a few times to give them some more strength. If you plan on wearing this a lot, that is not a bad idea. This 26 gauge wire is not the strongest. Now we're going to cut off the tail here and hide it up inside a paper bead. We'll never see it again and it won't poke anybody either. And there is our finished piece. And there are our two finished pieces. Which one do you like better? The dark version or the light version? I don't know. I kind of like them both. So next question, what do we make these into? We could make them into a pendant if we added a jump ring onto one of the petals, or we could glue a pin onto the back and we could make like a brooch or something out of them. Or if they were a little smaller, we could do like earrings or a ring. I mean, there are a ton of possibilities with these. So tell me in the comments, do you like the dark version or the light version best? I hope you've really enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell so you get notified when new tutorials go up. And I will see you next time.